Hi, this is Michael Melcher, and today's topic in coaching is type theory and the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator is something many of you have probably taken. It's often called MBTI, and it's the world's most widely used personality instrument. It's not a test, which is how it's sometimes introduced, and I'll explain why, but rather an instrument that can give you some insight into understanding yourself and probably more importantly, understanding other people as well. MBTI is based on type theory, which was originally imagined by Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst. Jung believed that there were detectable patterns in how our minds worked, and that these could be identified and named. The idea is basically that while there are 7 billion people in the world, maybe, just maybe, there are some predictable patterns of behavior, and when you tend to have one preference, you do not have another preference. So the 4 areas that he looked at and that Myers-Briggs is based on is how we get energy, how we take in information from the outside world, how we make assessments about that information and make decisions, and finally something called our attitude towards closure, which was added by the MBTI creators, Isabel Briggs Myers and Catherine Myers, a mother-daughter team. One way of thinking about type theory is think about how you sign your name. So imagine that you're signing your name the way you normally would with your dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, I'll just... And what's going on in my head? Well, nothing really. I'm just kind of wondering why this video person is telling me to sign my name. But now I'll ask you, sign your name with your non-dominant hand, which for me is my left hand. So, awkward, don't like doing this. Why do I have to do this? Looks stupid, feel inadequate, whatever. So that, in essence, is what preference and type are all about. I was born, in some ways, preferring my right hand, and I continued to build up that skill. I never really developed my left hand, and even if I had, it probably would not have been as strong as my right hand. Now, if I broke an arm and was in a cast for a while, I might be able to learn to use my non-dominant hand, the left, but it wouldn't be that good, and as soon as the cast came off, I would go back to my existing preference. That, in a nutshell, is exactly what type theory is about, that we have certain preferences for activity, and we'll use those. Now, interestingly, the meaning of this isn't that you should only be your type, that you should only be, let's say, an ENTJ or an ISFP or what have you. It's that you understand what makes your type work so you can accept yourself. And you can also understand other people who might be different. And at the same time, you can get beyond your type so that you're not endlessly trapped just looking at the world one way. That is the real insight and why type theory, when you understand it, can be so helpful for working with other people. So the 4 categories are how we get in energy. That relates to extroversion and introversion, sometimes, always abbreviated as E or I. The next category is how we take in data from the outside world. That's called sensing and intuition, using the letters S and N. The third category is how we make assessments and make decisions. That's called thinking or feeling, T versus F. And by the way, both of them are methods of thinking, they're just different. And finally, this thing called attitude toward closure, which we call judging or perceiving, J or P. And these have very, very specific meanings within the Myers-Briggs world. So it doesn't mean you're judgmental, it doesn't mean you're perceptive, it's something different. So that is my quick overview of type theory and Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. And in the next segment, I will look at one of the specific dichotomies, extroversion versus introversion. Hope to see you soon. This is Michael Melcher. Melch on.